speech this morning, honestly. But this is great news that we have a reprieve. It's not the final chapter of this book has not been written. We get to write that chapter together. And I will tell you that when we were talking about this earlier in the week, I was really concerned because I know what losing 1,100 jobs, 1,000 jobs, 800 jobs, the supply chain, everybody in the community who suffers, the restaurants, the stores, the people who service the facility, everybody gets hurt when it goes away. About the time I graduated high school, I lived in a small town, and the factory my dad worked at closed. It was a town of about 4,000 people, and the company he worked at had 400 jobs. And when that closes, I know the devastation to that community, to the families. I know what it did to my family. And I tell you, Bernie and I were talking about this. If the private equity firms who do this to communities had to go walk through and look at every one of you in the eye and hear your stories and see the devastation that they cause when they make selfish decisions, they would never do what they do. God would have, you'd have to pray for their souls if they did it after they knew it, right? And so I'm happy today that we have a reprieve in this story. And it's something we should be grateful to God for, and we should be thankful on this Good Friday. But I will tell you that, and I want to give my friend Bernie Moreno a lot of credit, because I know the governor talked to him, and Congressman Taylor talked to the company, and Bernie and I talked to the company. And as soon as I got off the phone, Bernie said, "I'm ready to bring the heat." And I said, "Let's go. Let's get it done." And they changed their mind temporarily. But I know how these things happen a lot of times. That when we're in an uncomfortable position, if you're a company, they say that they're going to do something today, and we take their word for it. But we got to hold them to account for this community. We got to all work together. It's going to take all of us, local governments, the union, workforce, the company, the political leaders, to make this victory permanent, to write that last chapter that is the chapter that has a future for this company or for this facility and this town. And a lot of work remains to be done. And I do want to give a little bit of the speech that I was going to give earlier, because I want to fire off a warning, because there's a lot of wonderful things happening in this state. Governor's been a great leader. We've had ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings and all those kinds of things. But not only do you show up during the good times, you got to show up during the tough times too. And there's so many private equity firms that have bought up companies in this state and in this country and chopped them up and made profits off of the pieces and left the communities and the workers and the people who relied on those jobs, they've left them with nothing. And that has to stop.
Yeah.
I am a great believer in capitalism, and I believe America is the greatest country in the world, and that we can prosper through this wonderful system that we have. But when we have people that want to abuse the system and abuse the people who live and work here, they have to be held to account, and we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And I know we've communicated with President Trump and his team. I know he's been making a lot of investments in Ohio, and I know he'll be with us in this fight. I can count on that, because he understands certainly about what happens to communities when these things happen. But as Bernie said, this isn't anything to do with partisanship. It has to do with the red, white, and blue, not the blue or the red.